It's 4 a.m., you're on hour 11 of a 12-hour shift at a manufacturing plant. Your eyes are burning, your back is screaming, and the only thing keeping you vertical is the vending machine coffee that tastes like someone brewed it through a dirty sock. There's a jam in the roller conveyor, again, third time tonight. Your supervisor is breathing down your neck about production quotas. The lockout tagout procedure takes 15 minutes. 15 minutes you don't have. So you do what every guy before you has done. You reach in while it's still running. Your sleeve catches, and in the half second it takes your brain to register the word "oh," you are no longer standing next to the machine. You are inside it. And that's where I come in. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel where we explore the absolute worst ways your body can clock out permanently. I'm your host, dead, caffeinated, and honestly kind of judging you right now. Because bro, the machine had a warning label on it. It had 3 warning labels on it. One of them had a picture of a stick figure getting mangled, and you looked at that stick figure and said, "That won't be me." Spoiler alert, it's you. You are the stick figure now. You are, without exaggeration, cooked. Well, look, you're here, I'm here. We've both got nowhere else to be. Me because I'm dead, you because you already clicked. So let's talk about what actually happens to a human body when industrial machinery decides you're next on the menu. And trust me, Hollywood has been lying to you about this your entire life. In movies, someone gets pulled into a machine, there's a quick scream, maybe a cartoonish splatter, and the scene cuts away. Clean, dramatic, almost dignified. Fun fact, there is nothing dignified about this, not even a little. Let's break this down by the clock, because this death moves fast, but not as fast as you think. The first 1 to 2 seconds, the moment your hand, sleeve, hair, or lanyard catches a rotating component, a lathe chuck, a roller, a drive shaft, physics takes custody of your entire existence. These machines operate with torques ranging from hundreds to thousands of Newton meters. For context, it takes about 4 Newton meters to snap your finger. A standard industrial lathe produces roughly 800. Your arm isn't being pulled, it's being wound, like a fork twisting spaghetti, except the spaghetti is your tendons, muscle fiber, and skin. The technical term is avulsion, which is a fancy medical word for your soft tissue being ripped from the bone like wet paper towels off a roll. Seconds 2 through 5. This is where the phrase degloving injury enters the conversation. And no, it has nothing to do with actual gloves. Degloving means your skin and subcutaneous tissue are being peeled away from the underlying structure. If the machine has enough rotational force, and most of them absolutely do, your arm doesn't just break, it wraps. Bones spiral fracture under torsional stress. Your humerus, your radius, your ulna, they twist apart like breadsticks at an Olive Garden from hell. The machine does not care about your skeletal structure. The machine does not even know you're there. You are a soft obstruction in an engineered system, and the system is winning. Seconds 5 through 15. If you haven't been pulled free by a coworker or an emergency stop, and statistically you haven't, your body continues feeding into the mechanism. Rib cage meets roller. Your ribs are designed to flex and protect your organs. They are not designed for this. Compression fractures cascade. Your lungs puncture. Your heart, still beating, is now operating in a chest cavity that is mechanically collapsing around it. This is called traumatic asphyxia. Your face turns deep purple. Blood vessels in your eyes burst. And here's where movies really get it wrong. You probably aren't screaming anymore. Not because you're brave, because your diaphragm is crushed and you physically cannot push air through your vocal cords. Zero hero vibes, just physics. Okay, but what does this actually feel like? Here's the thing nobody tells you. The initial pain is white hot and absolute. For about 1 to 3 seconds, your nervous system fires every alarm it has. We're talking a pain response so intense, it maxes out your nociceptors. Those are the nerve endings responsible for detecting tissue damage. But here's the twist. Your body has a circuit breaker. When pain input exceeds what your brain can process, you enter neurogenic shock.
Blood pressure craters. Your brain starts rationing consciousness like it's the last cup of coffee on Earth. And believe me, I understand that urgency on a spiritual level. What you hear is mechanical, grinding, crunching, humming. The machine doesn't change pitch, it maintains RPM because it was engineered to maintain RPM. You, with all your bones and dreams and Spotify playlists, do not even register as resistance. That's the sound that survivors describe in depositions, the sound of a machine that didn't even notice. In the final seconds, your brain, starved of oxygenated blood, begins its shutdown sequence. And here's where it gets almost poetic in the most messed up way possible. Your brain floods with endorphins and serotonin. Survivors of partial entanglements have described a sudden calm, warmth, a bizarre sense of detachment, like watching the whole thing happen to someone else. Some report tunnel vision. Some report nothing at all. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that houses your identity, your fear, your ability to understand what's happening, goes dark. The lights don't flicker, they just go out. Welcome to the consequences. Now, the aftermath. I'm going to be real with you because this part matters. When a coworker hits that emergency stop 12 seconds too late, what they find doesn't look like a person anymore. It looks like a machine malfunction with biological evidence. First responders and OSHA investigators who work these scenes carry those images for life. The coworker who watched it happen carries them longer. And every single investigation, every single one, traces back to the same handful of causes. Lockout, tagout procedures that were skipped, guards that were removed because they slowed things down, loose clothing near rotating equipment, fatigue from 12-hour shifts that turns a sharp mind into a foggy one, complacency, the quiet, invisible killer that whispers, "You've done this 1,000 times. You don't need to follow the protocol today." So, here's your actual, genuine, non-sarcastic safety advice. Never reach into operating machinery, ever. I don't care if it's a minor jam. I don't care if your supervisor is yelling. A machine will not feel guilty about killing you, and a production quota is not worth becoming a case study. Follow lockout, tagout every single time. Tie back long hair, remove jewelry, ditch the loose sleeves. And if you're too tired to focus, you are too tired to work next to something that can pull you apart in under 10 seconds. Tell someone, go home, be alive tomorrow. Now, if you want to keep exploring the absolute worst ways the human body can punch out, hit that subscribe button. I'll be here. I've got nothing but time, an endless supply of ghost coffee, and a list of deaths so horrifying they make this one look like a day at the spa. See you in the next one, dude. Stay safe out there. Seriously, I'm not joking about that part. The rest of it? Sure, but not that.